Hey, everybody. Welcome to Love Relo, the voice of the relocation industry. I am your host, Ben Cross. I'm so blessed and honored to be here with my friend, Rob Moorhouse, principal at USILAW. What's up, Rob? How you doing?
G'day, mate. I'm not bad. How are you? Thanks for having me on.
Dude, I'm amazing, man. Anytime I get to hang out with you and chat, it's always a good day. Um, yeah, man. Always love talking to you, man. And a lot's been going on for you too. We're gonna get into all that. We're gonna be talking a little bit about some of the changes that have been going on, personal and professional for you. I'm really excited to do that. Maybe get some of that Aussie humor in here a little bit. Maybe talk about some ball too, because there's a lot going on there. So get in the comments, y'all. Hit that like button. Let us know where in the world you are. Check in with us right now. I want to see you in the comments here. Rob, where in the world are you right now?
So I live in Reno, Nevada now. Last time we
That's a
caught
change.
up, yeah, absolutely. Last time we caught up was I was looking back on it about 3.5 years ago. How time flies when you're having fun, huh? Or working hard,
Yeah.
I guess is a better way to put it. But yeah, lots changed. So I was in Houston back then and was in the studio with you in Dallas last time I was on, and
I had a
about
different office. I was in a different space. Now I'm in a different
yeah,
office.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
looking schmick over there. But yeah, I
Thanks.
moved to Reno for look. I guess that's one of the silver linings of something like COVID, right? Everybody got used to working from home, and when you go and hike somewhere like Lake Tahoe, and your wife tells you you better get on board with working from Reno, you kind of make it
Is that
happen.
what
So
happened? You took a hike and you were like, we want to
it's
do this
literally what
forever?
happened. It's literally what happened. We went and hiked Lake Tahoe in spring and sort of walked around the mountain, looked down over the lake, and my wife just looked at me and said, "Get work on board because we're moving."
That's amazing. If you're watching right now, get in the comments. Where would you want to live if you could live and work anywhere, or move somewhere? Is there a place that you've just been enchanted by or fallen in love with? For me and my wife, on our honeymoon, now we were still kind of hungover, so we were kind of feeling no pain, but we were down in Key West, and we are just like, oh, we want to live here. I actually went down there day 2 of being in Key West for my honeymoon. I actually went on a job interview at the Wyland Art Gallery, like with the whales and all the sea life and stuff. I got the job. We got a realtor. We looked at apartments there. I mean, we were all in. We called our family like, "Yo, we're not coming back." And then like we sobered up 2 days later and we said, "Screw it, we can't live here. We'll be
Yeah, you
drunk
got
and
to watch those
divorced in two
hungover
years."
decisions.
Yeah, for real, for real. Get in the comments, y'all. Where would you want to live? Have you ever just fallen in love with a place on vacation or whatever and wanted to live there? We got people checking in right now. Mate, the biggest man in the biggest little city in the world. Is that what they call it? Reno?
They do. They do. I mean, by virtue of having the casinos and Lake Tahoe here, you get access to a lot of things that you would not get in a city of 400,000-500,000 people. But Drew, you owe me a catch up next time you're in town, mate.
Awesome. Yeah. Let's see. Sharon checking in. Hi, Rob. Sharon, I saw your post about going to New Orleans with Maria, and I literally almost packed a bag and went to Apartmentalize. I was so much FOMO about that. I heard it was fantastic.
Well, Sharon is near and dear to me. For those that don't know, Sharon actually is helped me settle into America when I first moved to Houston when I first moved to America, and coincidentally managed to settle me about 4 streets away from her. So we were always aligning on Thanksgiving and everything before I moved. But she's
sh-
one of my
she's a
favorite people.
she's a one woman welcoming committee. That's Sharon.
Absolutely,
So love
absolutely.
Sharon. Gives great hugs too. Rob Zeitz, g'day from Massachusetts, aka West Scotland.
G'day, g'day, mate. Always good to see Robert.
I hear the Scots were so heavy in Boston for the World Cup that today, or no, yesterday when England played, the bars actually closed in
Yeah,
protest just to not let the English in, and the Scots
yeah.
drink all the beer. Yeah, very cool. Get in the comments, y'all. Let us know if there's a place that you would move. Drew saying happy wife. I take exception to this. Okay, can I just get on my soapbox for 1 second? It's happy wife, happy life. But what, does nothing rhyme with husband? Like,
No,
can we like what?
no, that's not a coincidence, mate.
Like, yeah. Yeah, I asked all the dads. I was like, what are you getting for Father's Day? You getting breakfast in bed? And everybody just laughed at me.
Well, I
I was
had
like,
my first Father's Day this weekend, and I have to say I got made to feel pretty special. So
that's another
I was
big
very lucky.
change. You had a baby.
I did. So since I was last on the show, I have changed jobs, changed location, gotten married, and had a kid. Well, she had a kid. I was around.
We need to do more talking. That's a lot of changes.
It is.
What
It
is
is.
it like?
It sounds like more than it is. It's all been very, very exciting.
What is it? What is it like being a dad? What's your impression there? How
I
many
mean,
months
you'd
in are
know better
you?
than me. You know better than me, but
I'm
he's a
over it.
little angel. He's a
Yeah.
legend. He's very, very cute. Luckily, he looks like his mum.
Yeah.
But no, he's awesome. He's got those good genes where he sleeps quite a bit as well. So
That's
we're pretty
key.
blessed.
That's key. That's so cool. How many months now?
He was 8 weeks on Saturday.
8 weeks. Little
Yeah.
guy. That's a
Yeah, it's pretty
blessing.
special. I'm 42. At one point, I didn't think kids were on the cards, but you meet the right person, and everything changes, and it did for me. So,
That's awesome. Someone that puts up with you, right?
g'day,
Speaking of
Nafis.
which, Nafis, I love that comment about rhyming with husband. Yeah, Nafis, for real, right? Can we get a limerick or something? Drew says, deal with it, Ben. It's not about us. As for where to live, I always love anywhere I vacation, but it's not the place. It's the person I'm with and the getting away. But to be honest, as William said, there's no place like the Bay, baby.
Drew will always drop some knowledge on you, won't he?
Yeah,
he's very sage.
Yeah, he's a good dad, too. That's another good dad out there.
What a legend.
Anandita says, great to see two beautiful people with infectious smiles in the same frame. Beautiful people, Anandita. You drinking on the job again? What do you mean, beautiful people?
Well, speaking of two beautiful and lovely people, Anandita and Nafis are about as good a people as you can come across. Hence the reason I'm here.
For real. Well, and we're going to talk about that, too, the job change, too. It's not just, babies.
Oh, here we go, another
Reno.
one.
William Taylor, just about any island, but San Francisco is a solid second choice. Yeah. You and William Taylor over here.
So that's actually a funny story if you want to get into it now.
Let's get into it. Yeah.
So William and I think we first met at when we were both on the supplier board for NEI, the GPA supplier board, and we went for a drink afterwards, and we became fast mates. And when I was meeting with Anandita and Nafis, who I'd gotten to know really well and loved to bits, they're just fantastic. Went and interviewed with them. William sort of walked out of the room before I walked in, and I was like, what are you doing here?
And he told
me, I was like, oh, well, that kind of definitely ramps things up a notch, because William's one of the best blokes getting around. So the ability for us to sort of, all four of us, to work together was just a little bit more than I could thumb my nose at. It's really exciting. So
you guys are putting together kind of a dream team over there.
Well, that was the moniker I gave it. But yeah, look, and we've brought in some other really exciting people as well, like Natalie, who worked closely with me at Newell & Chase as well. And
Natalie Marshall, right?
Yeah, Natalie Marshall-Rose, yeah. And
Marshall-Rose, yeah.
And then we've got a couple more joining that I can't share just yet. That
I saw Gennady. I saw Gennady on there. He's got a USILAW moniker.
Sorry, Gennady as well on the J1 side. He's fantastic. And we've got a couple of new offices we're opening up. So there's some headcount that come with that some people might know that I'm excited about as well. And there's a lot going on. We're doing a rebrand. We're doing, he's too kind. But doing a rebrand, new website, new tech, all those sort of things. So there's a bit going on. It's very exciting.
I want to get into that too. I don't know how much you can share, but I want to get into that. Jillian saying, hey, Rob.
G'day.
And Brett says, you didn't like the hikes in Houston? We have some really high freeways.
Houston, look, I'm an Aussie. We're used to heat, but Houston's a different beast. Steve Deal, who I used to work with at CIBT and Newell & Chase, didn't understand how I could ride my bike to work every day. And he said, it must be like a dog breathing in your face. And that was the most accurate description I've ever heard of it. But yeah, I loved Houston. Houston's an amazing place. But,
you met your wife in Houston too, right?
Well, I've never lived anywhere for more than 3.5 years before I lived 9 years in Houston. So I am a nomad by, conditioning. So the 9 years was a lot longer than I've given anywhere else.
Get in the comments, y'all. Yeah, Brett, thanks for checking in. And honestly, if I see anybody walking anywhere in Texas, I assume that they have car trouble or they're very desperate situations.
My rule was don't get on the bike to ride home, like the bicycle to ride home from the office when I was in the office. If the heat index was over 120, so that's spicy.
Yeah, for sure. Get in the comments, y'all. Let us know. I see William and Nafis are having a little bit of a love fest over here, which is just, that's what the show's all about. Sharon's talking about how y'all met on LinkedIn. Drew's over here. More
Yeah.
Bro love. That's
That is, I
awesome.
mean, the way I got in touch with Sharon is actually a really fantastic example of networking.
Talk
A
about it.
lovely lady in Perth when I was there called Sue Pember. She helped me settle in Perth and then again in Sydney before I moved here. Who was near and dear to me. She used to look after my dog when I'd go traveling and things like that. And her kids would dress her up in a tutu and put her in a wheelbarrow and all these funny things. She actually reached out to Sharon and said, "Hey, this person near and dear to me is moving to Houston. I need to make sure he's well looked after." And that's how I met Sharon. So the power of networking and LinkedIn.
You know, it's so funny because, you know, in the recruiting space, like a lot of times we're recruiting people that need to relocate to a market. And the number one trick we kind of pull out of our sleeves is connect them to either one of the real estate agents or the temp housing people in that market who have just these incredible personalities and these welcoming personalities. And it always closes the deal for us.
Oh, absolutely. I remember when I first started researching moving to Houston, obviously living in Sydney, Perth, and before that Melbourne, where property is hugely expensive. I kept seeing all these things about, 5-bedroom houses for $350,000 out in Katy. And the first time I met with anybody from Destination Services, they said, if you're a single bloke, you do not want to go live out there. So it was really helpful to get that context about where to live, what's around, that sort of stuff. Because when you move somewhere new, especially a huge city like
I have
Houston,
no idea.
you get it slightly wrong, it's a massive impost.
Massive impact, and then all of a sudden you don't like where you're at, and it has nothing to do with the job or whatever. It's just, you can't go you can't find a date, or you can't go out to the movies, or you have no place to hang or whatever, or can't get a good gym. I mean, it's just so important. I know so many people who are in these amazing suburbs, here in Dallas, but it's not the right time in their life for them to be there, and they're just missed uptown or whatever, right? And they're just absolutely miserable, where other people would be super stoked to live in these beautiful suburbs. But it's got to be the right fit and the right time. I want to go back to something out. Oh wait, Drew says, Rob, please straighten the world out in the main city. Australian pronunciations: Melbourne, Brisbane, and such.
Yeah, it's not Melbourne, it's Melbourne. And
I like Brisbane. That John Wayne you put on that, Melbourne.
Yeah, I've had to, mate. My name's Robert. Everyone thinks I'm ribbiting like a frog when I try to order something through drive-through. I've got to say Robert, otherwise no one understands me.
That's funny. Yeah. So you mentioned something. About a rebrand.
Yeah. On? I mean, for us. It's the next step. I mean, obviously, don't want to make this an ad or anything like that. But look, whatever. USILAW has been around for 23 years and done an amazing job. It's been fantastic. But obviously, as we sort of expand the global offering, it makes sense to change the branding a little bit. Immigration can be, mobility in general can be incredibly colloquial. I mean, I'm saying that as a guy who moved to Western Australia because Western Australians didn't want to deal with anybody on the East Coast, right? And then the amount of times I've had to get people in Singapore comfortable with using us, even though we're on the other side of the earth, but we're local as well. Immigration can be very, very colloquial. So it's just the next step in sort of that evolution of a brand, if you get what I mean. So we're really excited about it. I obviously I'm a little bit I've got a stake in it, so my opinion is going to be a bit skewed, but I think it's really exciting what we've done, and I'm really excited to get it out there, which will be in the next couple of weeks. So well, I mean, I think people see the new rebrand and the website and stuff.
Yeah, I think anything that you and William and some of these other bright minds are putting your heads together on, I'm sure it's going to be fabulous. Is this going to be more of a global brand and maybe less U.S. centric, at least in name?
Yeah. That's the big change in terms of name. It's but we've always been a global firm, but really ramping that up a bit. As I said, opening a couple of new offices, which is always exciting. And as you sort of ramp it up, the really cool thing is getting to build it with people who you know and love and have met over the years and really got to enjoy working with before. So, like I said, got to bring in Natalie, who I know and like dearly. So, and then the other two people I've worked with extensively before, and that's the bit that really gets me excited. Like getting to do it, and at the end of the day, you spend more time at work than you do with anybody else, right? Like you got to love this, really love it. So when you get to do it with your mates, that makes it all the sweeter.
Yeah, I've opened offices before, and I know that it's always harder than it even looks. What do you think about when you think about opening an office? Where, when, who, all the considerations? Like, what is
Yeah.
that for you? To walk us through that calculus a little bit.
So again, the cool thing since COVID is the physical side of it isn't as important often. I mean, in some places it will be. Some countries you need to see people physically come in and all the rest of it. But it's for me, it's more about the strategic reasoning for it, the strategic logic for it. So do you need to be in that region? Is it likely to be high volume? Is that sustainable volume? That sort of thing. And then also, like, can you get the right people? Because at the end of the day, like, as much as my colleagues become my friends, so do my clients. We've just
Right.
signed a client that I have worked with for 15 years across 4 different companies while I was in
Wow.
3 different companies, right? Oh,
Wow.
four if you include Hamilton Watts that was acquired by Newland Chase.
Mm-hmm.
Calling that person my client is offensive. Like, that's my mate,
Right.
right? So
Right.
you also want to make sure you've got the right team to look after those people. So if I feel like it's if we as an organization feel like it's the right overlap of strategic benefit to the business, volumes justifying it, and then the right clients and the right people, then it makes sense. But yeah, it's all a matter of balancing that.
Yeah, look at this. We got some comments. Get in the comments, y'all. Love to shout you out here. Claudia says Rob is very knowledgeable about global immigration. Can't wait for all the great things coming with this rebranding.
Thank you so much, Claudia.
Claudia Tinoco there. Yeah, Luba Davis in here. Yeah, so yeah, awesome.
Luba's another one that's the sweetest. Like, I've every time you see her, she has a massive smile on her face. Such a positive, happy person. That's infectious, which is fantastic.
Yeah, talk to us a little bit about where you see like the immigration business going right now, because I'm always kind of fascinated as like obviously I'm not practicing in this, space. I'm not a customer of immigration. I just get to be on the sidelines holding the microphone describing the traffic accident. But, tell me, like, can you break it down for like us lay people? Like, what's the deal right now?
So it's look, there's never a dull moment in immigration, especially if you're across more than one country. Immigration is this funny thing where it's quite cyclical. Every time you see something that come in that you think is going to kill the industry, it creates work somewhere else.
Yeah, it's
it goes
bizarre.
through this sort of like, I remember when they brought in these changes in Australia years and years ago. We were like, look, this is going to kill our industry. Well, no, it just made it more complicated, which means anybody that tried to do it themselves before needed help. So we were able to help people who needed it. So it is a cyclical industry right now. Is a great example of the benefits of having sort of a global practice versus just a US centric one, because of some of the changes that came in that have sort of lowered some of the volume here, and people may look to move talent elsewhere. But in the industry in general, it's an interesting time. Someone's clearly earmarked us as a industry that is desirable so far as the injection of PE and venture capital money goes. So we've got some new players, and look, I'm one of those people that don't view people as competitors. They're all colleagues, and I've got mates at all of those businesses, and it's I think shaking things up is a good thing for everybody. I'm excited for what all of that brings. I'm excited for the tech side of things at the moment. It's we're at this really interesting juncture between sort of AI and real service. Where do those things meet? How do you strike that balance, and how do you get it right? And I think this is the most important juncture in that sort of journey, because I've talked to friends at firms that think our industry is done, right? Like, it's all going to be AI. And then there are huge companies around the world, especially in sort of the oil and gas and energy services space, where they don't have a mobility team, right? We're always going to be the sort of stitching together of these individual HR teams and make that a global immigration program. So
Yeah,
where is that sort of, and I think that balance is just going to slide across this scale over the next sort of, I would have said 5-10 years, but with the rise of AI, it might be the next 6 months. Who knows? But
well, it's funny because you talk about AI, right? And like, on the one hand, you could say, oh, immigration is just paperwork, right? Perfect for AI disruption. But on the other hand, some of the biggest cases of AI gone wrong are, citing the wrong legal precedents or whatever, and, getting disbarred for it, right? And so it's like the risks are higher. And then of course you have people's livelihoods hanging in the balance, right?
Yeah.
And, God forbid you file the wrong, thing or whatever. So it's like, I can't imagine entrusting that to a non-human. I just
So
don't know.
there's
The
a couple
accountability needs to
of
be
things
there.
there. Like before I get onto the AI thing, one of the things you said there that resonates with me, and I'm so glad I worked for the public service for a period of time as a decision maker in the Australian government. That gives you a real insight as like this isn't a production line. Like the first
Hmm.
time you grant permanent residence to somebody who's from a country where they didn't feel safe with their young daughters or whatever it might be. I remember I had a guy whose family couldn't come join him because the government of that country hadn't prioritized uh, budgeting for paper for passports, so they weren't printing passports, right?
Oh,
So it was another 18 months before he could be reunited with his family. And the guy was just like, this isn't paperwork. This is people. Like, and it is one of the jobs, one of the most jobs that gives you the most ability to sort of really impact somebody's life. Like when someone moves their entire family to a new place to chase their dream, I mean, that's fantastic. Like that's something we really get to do that impacts people's lives. But with
here,
the
that
sort
that
of
sounds like a catchphrase for your new brand there. It's not paperwork, it's people work.
yeah, that'd be
Hey,
fun.
Nafis, I know you're watching, buddy. I know you're watching. I
But
want a
look,
royalty
it
on that.
is like I remember when I was in the department, this woman was saying, "I don't know how we do this all day. Like it's so boring just processing what were 457s at the time." And I just said to her, "I was like, you're in the wrong job. Like if you can honestly look at the emails you get from these people and think this is all just paperwork, go do something else. Like that's heartbreaking." But back to the sorry, Nafis.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he's saying only 91% accurate. It's not meant for law or medicine. Yeah, that variance is too much. Too much to
well,
bear, I guess.
it's a great segue to sort of limitations in our industry. Have you ever gone and tried to apply for a business visa or a work permit based on what is on a government's website? Look, I've done this my whole life, and I've got it wrong by trying to follow what's on a government's website on an embassy's website, right? Like
Hmm.
sometimes it's as much as 5-6 years out of date. Now, if
Oh,
AI is using that, that's problematic. However, there's a lot of a balance to strike, right? Like there's a lot of value in sort of having um, a siloed model that goes through the data that's only on your case management system, which is what we're doing, and I'm really excited to sort of roll that out, where it just makes the actual process of managing your population that much easier. Now that stuff can be done now, no problems at all. And then how do you balance that with something that scrapes data from outside but only silos the data inside? That's where that balance strikes. But
yeah.
look, I can see a world where one day in our industry we sell to larger enterprise clients tech and a body that manages the tech, right? But I don't ever see us really getting away from that other type of client that we touched on before, where they've only ever been a national business and now they're setting up a business overseas and they want to sponsor their first worker. Well, they don't want to just be referred to a piece of tech and punch through that. They want someone to hold their hand and that sort of thing. So I don't see. I see a hybrid model going forward, but
Well, I want to
how
ask you
you
about
balance
that.
that and deliver both is going to be the name of the game going forward, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, because you see a lot of different companies in the space and a lot of different models, and from yeah, you see a lot of different models, right? What do
I think
you? I
some
mean,
people
what
have
do you
been a
think? What do
bit
you?
slack on. Oh, sorry to jump in. I
Oh
do
yeah,
think there has been a little bit of complacency around technology in the past. I know everyone talks about it. Every time we go to ERC or anything like that, everyone's talking about the importance of tech, but really making that client centric, including on the back end when it comes to like, I remember talking to a CTO at an RMC, and they're like, "How long would it take you?" And this is when I was in a previous role. "How long would it take you to integrate?" And I said, like 2 weeks, and it's one API, it's easy. And they're like, "Well, we're 9 months in and 17 APIs with this other company, and it's a pain in the backside." Like,
right.
I think there's been a lot of like complacency on sort of not getting ahead of that stuff and letting fall behind. I think with where things are going now at the moment, that's not something you're going to be able to get away with. It's also been a little bit of showing something before it's built, which makes me, I'm always amazed people are brave enough to do. That would terrify the hell out of me. But
Yeah. Well, I think there's this race because there's this belief that the market requires it, and frankly, from what I've seen, and again, what I see is limited, right? But what I see is the first question out of buyers' mouths is like, "What's your platform like? What's your tech
yeah,
like? What's your?"
yeah,
And they don't always have a clear. They're not always clear on how they weight that in the discussion, but it does seem to be kind of like table stakes to have like some whiz bang technology to show, right? Every time we get on a call nowadays, and maybe it's just because we're doing video calls all the time instead of, just picking up the phone, but everybody wants a demo, it feels
yeah,
like,
yeah.
expects a demo. And it's like, well, how do I demo a process that is human beings typing up applications?
Yeah, and look, I think, well, that's the thing nowadays. It can absolve you of a lot of that sort of manual entry and stuff as well. But you so first of all, table stakes is spot on, right? Like if you don't have a good piece of immigration tech these days, if you're pitching for a sort of large global enterprise level client, it's not going to pass muster. But what is interesting is having it be the sexiest piece of tech might get you the client, it won't keep it for you, right? Like at the end
Right.
of the
Well,
day, what they're
yeah.
more interested in is seeing is something that works well and is solid and delivers what you technically need. The bells and whistles, I've seen some clients, I've picked up many clients on the bounce where they were enamored with the bells and whistles, and when the meat and potatoes wasn't there, they had to move on. So,
100%
um,
because and it's so they always ask about tech, but the whole reason we're having the conversation is because there was a service failure.
yeah,
And then when they called at 7 o'clock at night because someone's out of status or whatever, nobody picked up the phone or did
yeah,
anything about it, or nobody was proactive in letting them know that someone was going to be out of status and doing anything about it. And none of that has anything to do with the damn portal. So
no,
it's
and
like I don't understand.
yeah, and you raise a really good point. How about how it needs to be married with real accountability? Like one of the things I've sort of taken great pride in over the years, and I like to think our clients have sort of found that is, I pride it on being the throat to choke, like, going into a pitch and saying, look, the biggest issue, like this is your team, but if anything doesn't work, you come and beat me around the head. It's
You
my
have a
job to
very
make it work.
chokeable throat. I got to be honest. I always said that about you, Rob. Really
I'm
nice and
just lucky
long.
it's too
You can
high for
really
most
wrap
people
the.
to reach.
I think we used to say one throat to choke. I think now we're supposed to say one hand to shake. I
Yeah.
think that's what we're
Wow.
supposed to say.
No one
It's
wants to
not as
shake your
fun.
hand if something's going wrong, mate.
No, that's right. Shake, yeah, shake your throat. No, yeah, no, and that accountability, I think, speaks volumes, and I think it's why you have so many loyal friends. You call them friends, whatever, partners, clients,
Yeah.
whatever you want to call them. But I mean, I think it's because you've always been that person who's accountable. Not that you've ever processed any of my immigration work before, but that's what I hear about you. That's the rap on you is, and so people trust you because you stand behind what you do, and you're always very candid, and you're always very honest and transparent and direct about it. And I think people value that, and maybe they do want to choke that throat every once in a while, but it's for good reason, is why.
Well, look, I think when I moved here, I think it was at least my 12th move in my life, right? Like, my dad was a diplomat. He worked for the Australian Public Service and worked up to be the secretary for the Department of Immigration in Australia. So I tried my absolute hardest not to get into immigration, so I at least looked like I had some semblance of imagination. But here I am. Couldn't deny the appeal and the draw of immigration. It's a fantastic field, but having moved so many, I think we went on our first posting when I was 2, and as I said,
Wow.
3.5 years was the longest I'd ever lived anywhere until I moved to Houston. You do sort of have this appreciation that, like, it is a stressful process. It is an incredibly stressful process. And when a mobility person reaches out to us, they've got that incredibly stressed out person on the other end. Like they're the intermediary. Like we've got to make it work. So being accountable isn't hard when you realize, like, you owe it to people to make it work.
Yeah. William Taylor jumping in. Get in the comments, y'all. Really curious to hear your thoughts on this whole, high touch versus high tech and what's the role and things like that. William saying, if you overpromise and underdeliver in this industry, your future in global mobility will be limited.
Yeah. Yeah.
Is this a problem we see out there in the marketplace?
It can be, and obviously, keep it classy. Like, I don't want to go around trashing anybody or anything like
No
that.
one ever
But
accused us of being classy. We just dress nice.
there you go. But what I will say is, I have seen more clients vacate a contract and leave early in the last sort of 5-6 years than I've ever seen. I've seen more movement in, like, what I would have said were like welded on marquee clients away from their suppliers. Like, clients have proven, like, if you're not going to do a good job, there are other people out there. And like we said at the beginning of this conversation, there are new players in the industry as well. Like, there are shiny new toys out there that if you don't do a good job, there are other options, and increasingly ones that people haven't tried before. So there is an increasing onus on us to make sure we're doing not just a good job, a great job, and to be accountable. And as Rob's saying here, stressed out people with influence and pull. It's you can do a good job 100 times and no one makes any noise, but when you do something wrong, the squeaky wheel is the loudest, sort of thing. So it's about sort of it's things will go wrong, right? And I don't know if it's that Aussie bluntness of, yep, we mucked up, like, this is what we're going to do to fix it up or what, but that's certainly the tact I bring to it. And I think that's important. Like, if something goes wrong, like, you got to step up and fix it, because you can turn a escalation and a negative experience into an incredibly loyal customer.
Oh,
Like,
yeah. I mean, sometimes that's the best relationship building is
hell
when
yeah. Hell yeah.
it hits the fan and you're just like, and then if you own it, right? Okay, now I respect you and I trust you. And then when you fix it, it's like, okay, all right. It's almost like it's like work. It's like you tear the muscle and it rebuilds, stronger, kind of thing. I totally agree. If you lean into it and handle it right. Some people just put their head in the sand and hope it goes away. And those are probably the clients that go to bid. But you said something before that's really interesting, Rob. Always pushing it, Rob. Always push. You had a good point, and then you had to go a little extra. Okay, things will go wrong. The Dallas Cowboys team motto. Rob, go root for Scotland or something. Get out of
He's
here.
hit a nerve there, hasn't he?
Just kidding, Rob. But you mentioned something before about clients moving, right? And you mentioned like leaving like contracts early and stuff. Is that possible? I mean, I think a lot of times I talk to clients and they make it sound like these things are ironclad and they're in it till the term and all that. But I mean, is it possible to switch providers mid-contract?
When I moved to Perth, there was one provider that was very dominant there. And I remember I met with one gold mining company and another oil and gas services company who had multiple people rejected and ultimately rejected on shore whilst not the holder of substantive visa, and then Section 48 barred, which means they couldn't apply on shore again. So they had to leave the country, right? And they said, look, like, you've been recommended, and this is, 2 companies removed that I was working at. So, but they, the comment I got from them was just what you said, right? Like, look, this is terrible. We've been recommended to you, but we've got this contract and we can't get out of it. Like, what can we do? And I was like, look, if you pay someone to come and paint the front of your house and they knock the front room down, you don't have to pay them to repair, like, to rebuild it, right?
Yeah.
You pay someone that knows what they're doing to redo it, and you make them pay for it, right?
Right.
I find that analogy works quite often. I've had to use it more times than I'd like to, but yeah, look, you can, especially if there's I've never when I say contracted, I've never contracted a client in 24 years. I've never had something that says, if you leave, you pay us, right? It's always, if we don't do a good job, you can cancel this for convenience. And I think that's, look, I've yet to have somebody do it, knock on wood. But yeah, look, you certainly can in most cases. And if there's service issues, why wouldn't you? Like, it's, like we said, we're not just moving pieces of paper and numbers around. We're moving people around and lives around. And, there's a real impact on a personal level, but also on a business level if we're not doing a good job.
Yeah, I think just kind of changing gears and going back to something you were talking about before, I'm really curious about, like, how how you got started in this. You talked about like, I don't want to be in immigration, like the old man or whatever, right? And it's like it's so funny because
I'll tell you exactly.
and now you're a dad too, so just watch out because you're bound to be like your parents, and your kids bound to be like you. So you better be a good person if you want your kids to be a good person. By the way, that's what I've learned. So I'm trying to dig out of a hole there, but I'd love to hear how you got into the business.
Well, if that's true that my kid will mimic me, I am absolutely terrified of my karma because
I
I was a
know.
rough kid.
Yeah, my
But
dad always says you pay for your raisin. So yeah,
yeah.
go ahead, Rob.
Well, and sort of this is a bit of a shout out to Brendan Ryan at Fragaman. Brendan worked closely with my dad in the public service, and when I finished high school at 17, all I wanted to do was buy a car stereo. I had my car, I wanted to put the subs in and that sort of stuff, and my family had moved back to Canberra from Melbourne, so I sort of did a detour via Sydney, and instead of because Brendan was kind enough to get me a job at PwC GVS, so very, very short, boring history of sort of immigration. PwC GVS sold their global practice to Fragaman. That was the first time PwC sold their immigration practice.
Oh.
They did it again more recently to become Vialto, but
I have so many questions about that, but okay, continue. Sorry.
Well, in Australia, when we finish high school, we go on something called gap year, where everyone they go travel and backpack and do all that sort of stuff. So instead of doing that, I went to work my summer at PwC, and I've always been this big and ugly. And I went on. They put me through the incoming grad course so that I could do all the security stuff and everything, and the sort of induction into the business. But because I was so big and ugly, I didn't look 17. I looked like 20s,
like a full-grown dude. Yeah.
And Pauline Matheson, who I think is still at Fragment now, don't quote me on that. I haven't been keeping tabs, but offered me a grad position. I was like, I'm 17. I've got to go to uni. So, because I'd loved it. Like, I just got in there. I was told I'd be photocopying, and they got rid of something which is called the 457 Independent Executive Visa. They're about this tall to file. Once you did, when they cut it off, if you'd applied before, you could continue to reapply. So the amount of people applying for these self-sponsored independent executive visas was huge. So, I mean, we were working crazy hours, and I wouldn't have changed it for the world. Like, I loved it. So I very quickly realized, I was being pig-headed and trying to look at a different career just because it's what my dad did. And I went and did that for private for a little while, then went and did it for the government. Decided I didn't want to be a bureaucrat for a number of reasons, and then went private and sort of stayed that way for a while.
And I think it's so interesting that you worked in the public sector and then, of course, the private. But what did your dad think about you going into the business?
He loved it. I mean, look, my old man has always been of the opinion that do what you love. Like, if you want to go and pick up trash cans and do whatever you like for a living, if you love it, he'll always support it. Like, he never pushed me in this. Quite the opposite. Obviously, helped me get my first job, but after that was sort of like I was on my own. So we've never talked about work since then, right? We couldn't for an extended period.
Right, because
when I was at Hamilton Watts, we did something called the Enterprise Migration Agreement, which was sort of a mega labor agreement that sort of affects all the subcontractors on a mega iron ore project. And whenever the government met to get the updates, it was my dad was in the meeting, so he literally had to excuse himself from the meetings because it was about me. So we've never really gotten into work conversations. Like, we both work he's retired now, but have worked in the same industry, but deliberately. I mean, first of all, who wants to talk about immigration that much outside of work? But,
I don't know why I do it, honestly. I'm like, I could do anything I want to do, and I'm doing this.
Luckily, I've got enough interest. Our lives are interesting enough. We've got other things to talk about. So
yeah.
He's obviously proud of having worked in the industry, and I'm proud of everything he did. He had 40-something years, multiple postings and stuff, but it's a job. Like, we don't talk about it.
Well, then let's talk about something else. What's he think of the grandbaby?
They're pretty wrapped. So I had been saying, like, I'm 6'6" and 250 something pounds. My wife is 5'2", so there was every expectation he would come early. And I said to my mum, "He's waiting for you. I can tell." And 25 hours after they arrived, my wife's waters broke. So, but they're wrapped. Like, my sisters are much younger than me and have a bunch of kids between them. So they've had their grandkids, but I was the holdout. So they're pretty wrapped.
That's so cool. That's awesome. That's all.
Yeah, I
Has,
mean,
has
it's a pretty special thing.
has being, I know it's still early in the game, but has being a dad like changed anything for
Makes me
you?
want to travel a hell of a lot less.
Uh-huh. I hear that.
I had my first trip a little while ago, and I was a bit of a soppy mess about it. Like
Yeah.
it's hard to be, especially when they're that young. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I still
They
wake
still have
up
that
about 8
smell
times a
too.
night to check he's okay. Like it's
Yeah. You walk in their room to check if they're okay, and then they still have that like new baby smell,
yeah,
and like
it's
even
pretty
I
special.
remember when my wife took the baby, she goes every summer to New York and Pennsylvania and stuff to see her folks. And she usually goes for like 2 to 3 weeks. And I remember the first night she left when he was just a baby, and the room still smelled like the baby in a good way, not the diaper pail, but the actual baby. And I literally got like, I cried, man. It was like, and I didn't think
Oh,
I was just like excited, like have the place to myself and not get to sleep in. But man, I like, it hit me like a ton of bricks, dude. And
yeah.
it was weird. It made me, every reaction I had, honestly, was different than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I look, I was a bit of a soppy mess. And if we keep going down this topic, this podcast is going to be people watching a couple of big blokes cry. So.
I mean, I'm cool with that. I love when people cry on these things. It gives me something to do.
But yeah, it does change everything. Like, look, I laugh when people say, "Oh, you don't know what you can't imagine in your life before." And I was like, rubbish. Like, I remember exactly what my life was like before. It was great. I had good fun. Like, but this is a different type of fun, right? Like,
Yeah,
there's nothing quite like it.
it's a different
Yeah,
job. Is there one thing? Let me ask you this. We're staying on the dad thing for a second, man. Is there anything that you're looking forward to? Like, what's a thing in this whole journey that you're looking forward to?
so we had to go through the IVF journey. So we know exactly what other embryos we have there, and we have a little girl lined up next. And
Oh
I'm
wow,
looking forward to seeing him be a big brother at some point. So we had to decide which one we implanted first. And obviously, for everybody, this is an awful lot of pouring my purse out and sharing here. But I'd said I want to be a girl dad so much. And
right?
my wife pointed out that my sisters are both married to their first boyfriends because I scared the living hell out of everybody else. So she's like, "You can't do that when you're a grown man. So you're gonna have a boy first so he can do it." So I'm really looking forward to seeing just how he ends up being a big brother, and I hope he. My sisters hated me in high school for that stuff. Like I scared the hell out of people who were showing
Right.
interest in them, but they both thanked me as adults. Like there are a lot of creeps that did not come around.
So basically, like in high school, if you're not trying to get married, don't even come talk to my sister, huh? Like if you,
It was a little more graphic conversations than that, mate. There were, yeah, no, not PG rated.
Drew's over here welling up. The tears haven't actually fallen. I don't count them till they fall, Drew. So just let them go, man. Just don't hold on to them, dude. Just get them out. No, I think guys. Listen, I love when guys cry, man. I cried. I was crying at church this past weekend.
I'll tell you one thing that has changed.
What?
Any movie about soldiers that are dads that sacrifice, I can't watch anymore. I am an absolute mess when those things. I watched 13 Hours again on the weekend, which is a great movie if anyone's not seen it. But yeah, I was a soppy mess at the end of it when they did the photos of the real guys with their kids. That was rough.
Yeah.
Well,
Yes.
William would know. William's a girl dad twice over.
Yeah. I didn't have any girls. I had 2 boys, and that's plenty for me, honestly. Like Olivia says sometimes, she's like, "We should have another baby." I'm like, "No, you just want to hold a baby, okay? I'm sure we can arrange for you to hold a baby. We don't need to make the 20-year commitment to it, you know." But
Well, I
you
know
guys
too
are.
many people that had 2 boys and then tried for a girl. I got a mate that had 2 boys, tried for a girl, and ended up with 2 more boys as
Yeah.
twins. His wife
Yeah.
was
Be
not
careful what you wish
impressed.
for, dude. Yeah, for real.
Yeah,
It's not. I mean, you guys have it planned out. You already know. You already know the gender and everything.
yeah. I
But
mean, that's
when
the
are you
silver
guys
lining
having
of
the
that
when are you having the
process.
next one, dude? Let's get real
I think she'd
personal.
like to skip a beat and give it a year and then have a go. Probably about this time next year.
Okay. All right. We're gonna mark that down. Have Rob back on the show this time next year. All right.
Well, that's when it'd be 9 months after that. So
+9. Okay. Hey, that's cool, man. We're just gonna be plugging along here. Don't worry about us. This is a lot of fun here. Man, I love chatting with you because we go in all sorts of directions, you know. And
Lord
you
forbid
catch.
there's some drinks involved as well. Then it goes all
Oh
sorts of
well, I don't
places.
know about you, but you know, what I'm saying I got this big old Stanley. Nobody knows what's going on here. No, I'm just kidding. I want to ask you, Because I know you're a big basketball fan.
Yeah.
I want to ask you, did you watch the finals?
You know what? Like, I did watch the last game, and it was fantastic. I
Yeah.
mean, Brunson just took it and ran with it. Like, what an absolute legend. But
Yeah. You've been doing
I
that all
stopped
season
getting
too.
into basketball so much when everyone kept moving around so much. Like, it's really hard to follow. But look, that was my background, like playing basketball. Like, otherwise, it would have been a hell of a waste of height. But
Or as
yeah,
Tony Hill says on my team, you'd be tall for no reason.
yeah, yeah. Look, it was fun. Look, and there are some teams like I'm a '90s basketball fan, right? I was a
Oh, okay.
Sean Kemp Seattle
Oh,
Supersonics
I
fan.
love Sean Kemp, dude. One of my favorites.
Oh, he's the reason I got into basketball.
Number 40,
Luckily,
I
I
had the
didn't
kicks.
mirror the rest of my life after his co-curriculars, but he was that. There are a lot of teams from that era that are owed a championship, as far as I'm concerned.
Why? Because the Bulls just kept hogging them all?
Oh yeah, I mean, look at the
Yeah.
teams that were around during that era. Like you've
Yeah.
got Seattle with Peyton and Kemp and Schrempf and all them. You've got
Totally.
the Suns, which is my team now because I couldn't follow the
Charles
Sonics.
Barkley, Thunder Dan, Kevin Johnson.
Starks. Well, that's New York, sorry, but
Knicks,
Kevin Johnson. But that New York team, Starks, Oakley, Ewing, like watching
Anthony
blokes like that
Mason.
not win
Oh,
a
yeah.
championship.
Well, they went to the finals 3 times in the 90s. They went 94, 95, and then 99 against the Spurs last time they were there. That was my squad growing up, was the Knicks. I grew up in White Plains, New York. And they would
Hell of a
they
team
would
to
just break
watch
our
back
heart,
then.
man. I mean, with the Reggie Miller times, the Knicks. I mean, actually in 94, 95, they ran into the Rockets both those years. And, you know, with Hakeem and Clyde, and I mean, and Charles Barkley might have been on one of those squads too. But,
I remember watching that Pacers game.
With the choke game, like the Reggie Miller one where he scored, what was it, 8 points and
in like 30 seconds, like 13 seconds, I think it was. It was something
crazy,
horrendous. It was amazing. I was living in Beijing at the time, and me and my mate were literally jumping on the couch, like screaming, like 10 years old. But that was amazing. That was an amazing game. I mean, there was also the Tracy McGrady game, similar game for Houston. But
T-Mac,
But no. Once I was
Magic
huge into basketball, but yeah, once my ankles went, that was it.
Yeah. It's funny. It's funny once you have kids, like you know, your discretionary time to watch sports and just sit around and like binge, you know, Netflix or watch, you know, games. And honestly, everyone else's life seems a lot less interesting too, because you know you got your own mega, you know, episodes every day going on in your own home. And it's like. Yeah, so you don't really have time.
To look forward to, man.
Yeah, for sure. Angelina, White Plains represent. Yes, Angelina, for sure. White Plains High School, class of 2001. Go Tigers.
I've only ever been once, and I bet you can imagine what RMC that was for.
And White Plains. What, did you fly into White Plains, or was the meeting in White Plains?
Isn't that where Wycott is? White Plains?
They're in they're in Morris Plains now, Parsippany or something Plains like that. Yeah. In New Jersey. Yeah.
My geography for that part of the world isn't fantastic. But
yeah, White Plains Airport is great, although I never really used it much. Angelina, you from White Plains there, buddy? Whereabouts? Let me know. I was in Soundview and Post Road and moved around a little bit. I went to Ridgeway Elementary School. Anyway, walk down memory lane. Hey,
you asked about the Knicks, like fantastic, like stoked for them. Like what a fantastic story to win, like, and to come from behind in so many games like that. Like, that's what makes basketball like. I think
it was a 29-point deficit they came back from. It was bananas, dude. Yeah. To be on the right side of a comeback like that, and after like the Reggie Miller years and like whatever, was super cool. I actually watched that game with Jack Jampel in Philly.
Oh, and I saw that.
Yeah, and I had
great bloke to watch it with as well.
Yeah, under my arm, and he had the Nova Knicks because 3 of the Knicks went to Villanova. You know, Bridges and Hart and Brunson, and we were just going crazy. And they had a whole watch party set up for us. It was bananas. But
I was on the wrong side of a few of those. Like I said, I was a Suns fan during the D'Antoni era, and that series against the Spurs, where the ref ended up getting indicted by the FBI for match fixing. You could probably tell it's still stuck in my craw a little bit, that one.
Well, a lot of people are saying Scott Foster was trying to throw this finals. He got away kind of scot free on that kind of stuff.
It's a shame when that sort of stuff enters sports, because I mean
it is.
Yeah,
kind of like the calls, the no calls on Ghana in the World Cup. We won't even listen. We won't even bring up the U.S. Australia World Cup game. I really was concerned going into it, so we don't need to talk about the very lopsided result.
Well, I mean, if you think it was lopsided, that's one thing. But I wouldn't hang my hat on that as a lopsided victory. But I mean, we kicked one of the goals for you, didn't we, mate? But the
hey, we appreciate the gifts. We take them.
What I will say, since I mean it's everywhere, but I have noticed that the bandwagon fans of the when I lived in Houston, I had Rockets tickets when they were like a 70-win team, and whenever Golden State came into town, there'd be more Golden State fans than there were Rockets fans. And I have to say, if I didn't know the rules, I would not be that loud.
Yeah,
they'd be up there saying it's a foul. I was like, you guys traveled. It was, it's so far off. It wasn't even funny. Like it's hilarious. But
yeah, let's see. Nafis says, who wins the football soccer World Cup this year? Are we all getting together in Washington for the Dallas game on January 9th and 10th? Let's plan on it. Hope William can come too. You know what? I've got a picture. I went to the USILAW suite 2 years ago for the Dallas game. I got a picture. I think Nafis took it. So Nafis, thank you so much. Picture with Jerry Jones, owner of the Dallas Cowboys. It's on our wall of fame up here. And now I just need to get that thing signed. So I think January 9th, 10th for that game, I think that's my opportunity to get this thing signed. So we can get a signed Jerry Jones on the wall of fame here at Global.
Let's do it.
So I'm down, Nafis. Thanks for the invitation. I'm going to try to make things happen. Last year it fell on Christmas, and Nafis like, oh, your kids don't need you there. I'm like, come on, buddy. Like, this is the last year they believe. My son came up to me yesterday or last week and was like, is Santa Claus real? I'm like, hey, buddy, it's real hot outside. Let's go get some sunscreen on. He's like, whoa, way to change the subject. I'm like, what? Huh? Isn't it dinner time right now? So.
Well, and the irony of Nafis saying that is hilarious, because I've never met someone who, well, I'm sure that everybody does adore their kids, but Nafis is certainly up there on the list of people who adore their kids.
Yeah, he's another one where the apple's not going to fall far from the tree, because his daughters are litigators. I've been in the car with the four of them driving before, and they know how to craft an argument. That's what I'll say about that. Hey, you know what, Rob? Let's have some more fun. You want to play a game with me?
Let's go for it.
All right, let's do it. Hey, we're going to play overrated, underrated. It's been a minute. You know how to play the game still?
I do. I have not seen these ones in advance, so.
No, you haven't. No, you haven't. You on the questionnaire said, sorry, I am drawing an absolute blank on this one, frowny face. So I took the liberties, with super producer Sharina's help, of coming up with a few overrated, underrateds for you, just to kind of,
let's do it.
Have some conversation, right? Let's get started, Sharina. Overrated, underrated. Air Force Ones.
Overrated.
Ooh, quick.
Yeah. Oh, don't get me wrong. It's I love a good pair of Air Force One mids.
White or black, or some other.
No. My favorite pair of. So for those that don't know, I'm a horrific sneakerhead. When I moved from Melbourne to Perth, I think I sold between 100 and 200 pairs of sneakers to be able to move. I used to manage a Foot Locker in a brief hiatus between roles, but. Yeah, I'm more of my favorite sneakers, the Air Max 180, followed by the 90 and then the one. But Air Force Ones are great. They're just not as comfortable as other sneakers as well.
They're really not.
And then even in the mids, I love them. But what do you do with that strap? Like it either ends up flapping around or choking your ankle, which is great for basketball. But who wants to play basketball in a flat sole?
Well, now I can't slide them on because the straps buckle. But if straps not buckled, to your point, you're tripping all over it.
If you want a tall pair of sneakers with straps, get a pair of Jordan 8s. That's my input.
Are those the cross straps?
I've got a pair up here in a wardrobe, but they're the cross strap ones that look like
Mars Blackmans.
Love them.
Yeah, that's no call. Yeah, Air Force Ones. Listen, I'm a sucker for white on white Air Force Ones. I always have to have a pair in the rotation. But man, my feet get blisters. You can't hoop in them. They're supposed to be basketball shoes from back then. You can't hoop in them. The girls' ones don't even have air bubbles in them. The men's supposedly have air somewhere in the sole. You wouldn't know from walking in it, but I don't understand how they get away with it. The kids and the ladies don't even have air bubbles in them. Yeah, I agree.
I see Tony's comment, surprised they're overrated. Like, I think they look sick. Like, they look awesome. But for me to wear them, not my cup of tea.
Yeah. Yeah, I haven't
My
worn
feet
mine
are
in a
too big to
minute.
wear too many low Air Force Ones as well. I look like Sideshow Bob.
You know, Jason Hall got me a nice pair of Glomo Air Force Ones that I
Yeah.
do wear. They're painted, so you know that's probably where I draw a line. Yeah, I'm gonna go overrated, Tony. Don't punch me, okay? I'm gonna go overrated. Next one up, 1 point for Rob. Spider bites.
Oh. Definitely overrated. We were having a conversation off air previously about um, horrible Australian wildlife, and I was laughing because everyone goes on about Australian wildlife being so scary, and I was like, I literally live somewhere where I have to carry bear mace and for bears and lions. Like that's crazy. And then Ben sort of directed the conversation towards spiders and reminded me that I'd almost lost the bottom half of my leg to a white-tailed spider. So they suck.
Yeah, I spider bites are crazy because like you can get bit by the wrong spider and like
Yeah.
be almost dead.
Yeah,
Like
whitetail is something we have in Australia that's similar to a brown recluse here, and yeah, it took me 9 months to repair the muscle. You can still stick your finger through my calf muscle if you really want.
I'll pass. I'll just take your word for it. I mean, maybe a few more beers.
I'll get a few drinks into you and see how you feel about
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
It's a good party trick.
You know, spider bites. I'm gonna take your word for it.
Yeah.
Okay, for sure.
Try
2 points for
try and
Rob.
avoid it if you can.
For sure, definitely. Overrated, underrated. Wemby, Victor Wembanyama.
I've enjoyed watching. I mean, look, that big, that skinny, like that is
And
like
can
it's
shoot
a
the rock from the logo
yeah. He's
too.
got a smooth stroke. Like look, I thought he was. I don't know if you could say he's underrated. I think it's fair.
But
Like
they're already calling him like the greatest, like he's going to be the future greatest player ever. Like they're already putting the crown on him, and he can't
they've
even
said
beat.
that so.
He,
I mean, they said that about
yeah,
Ben Simmons,
he
mate.
can't even put he can't even beat a 6 foot Jalen Brunson. You know, like
They said Ben Simmons was going to be the next LeBron. Like the thing about basketball is it's a head game, right? Like, it's a mind game. Like if he stays confident and he stays healthy, he could be. Certainly, I mean, watching him dunk on the baseline like that from 2 or 3 steps outside of the key is.
yeah,
I remember when
he
I used to
just
be able to do that, but I needed a hell of a lot more of a run up.
he can extend for sure. But you're right about the mind thing, right? Because I mean, Jordan wasn't that spectacular of a physical specimen. I mean, he's 6'6", you know. I mean, he had big hands, but whatever. I mean, he's not the first guy to have
his
big hands.
movement in the air was next level.
But it was his mentality and some, to your point, creativity and competitiveness that I think separated him. Same with Kobe, right? I mean, and I don't know. I think Wemby showed us in this series, this finals, that like he's still not there yet. Now he's only 22 years old or whatever, right? And he's from another country, so he's got a lot of growing to do and things like that. But yeah,
Well,
I don't
these
know.
days you can stay a lot healthier. I remember when Durant broke his foot, I was like, with that height and levers, like he's done. But I mean, here he is today, still killing it. So
Yeah,
because that's what brought down Yao Ming as well. So it's I think if these days you can, I mean, Kobe tore his Achilles. Remember, and
yeah,
that used to be a hobbling life sentence, and yet they're back on the court smashing it in 6 months. So
yeah. I don't know. I think Wemby is a little overrated right now. I was really expected him to go in and win that series against the Knicks, and they just ran into a buzzsaw. So it's like, and he's supposed to be the best player on the team, and I don't know, but man, that Spurs team is loaded. They got 2 draft picks that look nasty. They're going to be back and really sick next year.
Spurs are the niggling thing that keeps coming back all the time, aren't they?
Yeah. Yeah, this always hunger to succeed. Yeah, Nafis, aka the Jordan of immigration. Tony Hill, they're going back to the original shoe. What's up? Going to see Scotland. I see you, Rob. All right, let's move on here. Next one up. Overrated, underrated, Nevada. Or is it Nevada? What do we say?
I'm a new implant, mate. You can say it how you like, but I would say it's pretty underrated because people just associate it with Vegas. And look, like the older I get, I go to Vegas for different reasons now, right? Like I go to there to eat, and now I like Vegas. The first time I ever went to Vegas, I drank a friend's girlfriend's drink that had been spiked. So I did not have the best experience of Vegas. I still don't really care for it that much, but Nevada is a very, very big state, and you've got like things like Lake Tahoe and all the rest of it. I think it's underrated massively.
Yeah, I went on a Grand Canyon flight. I took my dad to
Yeah.
Vegas for his 60th birthday, and we went on like one of those like tour flights, and it was like a tiny plane. It was the scariest plane ride I've ever been on. You really feel it taking off, and man, it flew down into the canyon kind of, and you're just like, I mean, the Grand Canyon was just magnificent.
It
So
is.
Vegas does have a lot going on. I mean,
Americans have
Nevada.
a lot of stuff to be proud of as a country. Like the first two trips I did after COVID were the Grand Canyon and driving around Oregon, two incredibly different,
Oh yeah.
like landscapes, but equally just stunning. Like it is an incredibly beautiful country.
Yeah, you talk about a lot to be proud of, and that's been probably my favorite part of the World Cup is watching all the folks come over from all the other places and like eat and drink and party and watch the game and experience America and like and I've loved generally speaking, they're all like, wow, this place is awesome. You know, it's so underrated. People give it such a bad time because you know the politics or the whatever. You know, all the perception right on the
Mm.
world stage. But people, you know, last night we were out down in Dallas actually, and I was hanging out outside at a bar watching the Columbia game, and this Japanese guy walked by. This guy that I'd seen on Instagram. He's all over my feed, like eating barbecue in Dallas and doing this. And I'm like, bro, like that's the dude. And I was like, dude, get in here. And I grabbed him and he came in and we did a shot together and the place made him a sandwich. Like, you gotta try it. He did all this content. And like, yeah, dude, I gotta send you this. It was crazy. And
That's so cool.
yeah, his name
That's
was
really, really
Bob,
cool.
by the way, which is also weird because he's like this Japanese dude. His name Bob, you know, and we just like made friends with Bob, like this, you know, influencer that just took off. He's been going viral for World Cup stuff, but
Yeah.
it's just been really cool seeing that
It's
stuff.
funny how the bigger the world gets, the smaller it gets sometimes, right?
Wild,
That's
absolutely
really
wild.
cool. That's an awesome story.
Yeah, yeah, I'll send you the photos. It was pretty wild. Last one up, overrated, underrated, Australian soccer.
Underrated. It's funny. I was talking to Nafis about it the other day, and it's like we have never been a powerhouse at it, but we've come pretty close. We've given it a nudge a couple of times. And look, I don't follow it as much as other people. I used to play soccer as a kid and loved the game. I think soccer, and I'm going to really irritate people here,
Let's go.
can be overrated sometimes. Like I love the game, and I just can't stand watching people roll around impacting the outcome of a game, pretending to be injured. That ruins it for me.
Yeah, the flopping.
Because it is such a beautiful chess match of a game,
Uh-huh.
and then to
Yeah.
right at the end pretend like someone blew in your ear and you roll over and pretend your ankle's broken ruins it for me. Like if that can really affect the outcome of a game, like look how much LeBron gets absolutely lambasted for flopping,
Yeah.
and there's a whole sport of it. Like
Yeah.
it is one of the best games in the world, but that in general ruins it for me.
Well, I have seen them give was it a yellow or a red? They gave a card to a guy that they first called. They gave a card. I think it was a yellow. Maybe it was a yellow. They first gave a yellow to a guy for tripping a guy. They VAR'd it as they do, right? They VAR'd it, video assisted replay. They watched it. They saw the guy wasn't hit. He flopped. They switched the card and gave it to the guy that flopped. So I think they're trying to do stuff about it, but there's such a culture of flopping in the sport that, yeah.
Well, if you
Yeah,
come from a country like Australia, where one of the national sports is Aussie rules, which if you haven't watched before, go watch it. It's incredibly depressing as a guy to watch all these beautiful specimens of men run around for that long. But if you've ever seen a specky, or look up what a specky or a shirt front is in Aussie rules, and you go from that level of physicality to what we're just talking about,
Yeah.
it's a jarring experience.
Yeah, I've watched it, but I can't say I can like follow it. I probably, you know, I need to watch it with you. I need you to explain what I'm seeing here.
And I think anyone that calls themselves a sports fan should go and watch two Melbourne teams play a derby match at the MCG, Melbourne Cricket Ground. It can be two cellar dweller teams on a Thursday night, and they'll have 80 to 100,000 people there. And
For cricket?
it's at the cricket ground, but it's
Oh.
Australian rules football.
Got it.
And you know, it's like the closest thing is American college sports. It's like it's generational, right?
Okay.
Like you follow the team because your parents did. Like so,
Right.
it is a vibe unlike anything I've ever seen.
Okay.
And I think everyone who's a sports fan should try and, if they're ever in Australia, get along to an Aussie rules game because it's different.
I'll have to put that. I want to go to Australia. I got to put that on my list there. Things to do.
It's a bit of a trip.
Awesome. This has been a bit of a trip. Rob, this is awesome, dude. Thanks so much for being on the show today.
No, thanks for having me. It's always a pleasure.
Yeah. And thanks everybody who got in the comments. I really appreciate y'all. The comments were a lot of fun. Yeah, thanks so much for getting in here. It was great. It was great having you. Yeah, William, I'll see you in DC, buddy, for sure. We got a USA chance going on here. This is great. Rob, always a pleasure, dude.
No, thanks so much for having me. It's a pleasure. And yeah, really appreciate it.
For sure. Thanks, everybody. We will see you tomorrow, right? What do you got? Destiny tomorrow? Destiny Hess? Yeah, we got Destiny Hess on
nice.
tomorrow. Got a full slate. Yeah. Anyway, thanks so much, Sharina. Appreciate you. Thanks, everybody, for watching. Rob, take care, buddy. See you later.
Thank you.